Thank you for watching my video. Welcome to my TED Talk. This one's going to be a little bit about my past as a preteen, that awkward preteen stage, puberty. We all hated it, and it's still very hard to talk about even today. Felt like a lot of stuff that happened in puberty was traumatic, and sort of the lack of awareness and the lack of depth we went into talking about it or explaining it to kids, I think added to the trauma and the discomfort for sure. And I want that to change for people. I want younger people to feel more comfortable talking about it. I want adults not to be so comfortable talking about it, about puberty, relationships, consent, sex. It's important that we talk about these things and understand people's boundaries and behaviors. And so I'm working on a poem about that. All my poems I write super quickly, and then I come back and edit later. So my puberty poem isn't totally finished. But I have another one about dress codes, if y'all remember that, which are often, kind of, displayed or sort of pushed out, I think, at random or arbitrarily to girls who are curvier, who it's harder for them to sort of hide their body in normal clothes that might be okay on somebody who's thinner, or a white girl a lot of the times, a skinnier person, skinnier white girl. So I definitely had a lot of experiences with that and was told that I was distracting boys and distracting my male teachers, and looking back on it, it was all a little disturbing. So this is about that. We'll sing a song at the end to make it happy. We're starting heavy, but we'll end lighter. So this is my thoughts on arbitrary dress codes. Maybe inspired by a line I heard by Nick Kroll on Big Mouth when he said, "I hit puberty late and it really messed me up." Hitting it early can mess you up, hitting it late, and just the whole experience in general was traumatic. So let's talk about it together, guys. Here we go. I have always hated my body in some ways. Awkward and gangly, heavy and slow, black and blue and all wrong. I remember my male teacher called me out for a dress code violation in the middle of 7th grade social studies. He told me to go change. It was 85 degrees that day and mid-May in Indiana. I had nothing but gym shorts in my locker, so I snuck them on underneath my clothes. They were considerably longer than the jean shorts that had so offended him, but the shorts were still looser than the basketball fabric that managed to hug my 5'5" body. My body remained uncomfortable to him. I couldn't do away with it. I sat back down in those shorts during class after changing and tried to quickly catch back up on the slides. After classes had rotated another few times, Mr. Edwards called me over to speak to him at his classroom door. He spoke in a softer tone than his usual lecture style. Mr. Edwards was a man who carried a meter stick with him and tapped rapidly on students' desks when they didn't pay attention. I had never gotten a tap or a thwack, the stuff of legends, but today I had gotten something else. Attention from the teacher? What morsels for me today? Walking over, I kept my head low and didn't want to speak much. A moody teen, confused girl, called out, my body too big and too large, although he towered over me. "You don't have to do that," Mr. Edwards said. I gave him nothing. He stayed uncomfortable and uncharacteristically soft-spoken. "The way you dress," he trailed off. "You don't have to do that, to dress like that." I wasn't sure what I was saying. I wasn't sure what he was saying. Again, it was Indiana and mid-May, 85 degrees, and I was wearing shorts like so many of the other girls. But I don't think I said anything out loud. In fact, I know I hardly didn't. Maybe he asked me why I did it, and I couldn't answer. Gave a neutral, yet affirmative head shake. I needed to escape, and so did he. He let me go, and I became another fish, joining the school, swimming on to other people and other chances. I recall that I drowned his words all out, low humming in my ears. Sad brown eyes, both of us. The disappointment in him towards me, a generally good student, yet I had fallen out of favor. I got a special talk all alone. It was not a happy occasion, not an encouraging word, not a good job on that test. But I believe he might have meant it to be at one point before he saw my face. I had not failed in grades or accolades, yet I felt as I always did, ashamed. He was not telling me a good job, he was telling me to leave. You can always win, but still lose control of the game. I still think of that to this day. Devastating in some ways. It was not quite the beginning or nearly the end of my dress code violations. I had a dirty thought that they were all out to get me, sometimes the men, but often the women, eyes on the prowl for any arbitrary rule made by white women for white women, enforced largely by them, the rulers of my large junior high school and high school in one of the wealthier counties of the state. Again, the feeling creeps over and I grow ashamed. I never gave back enough for what was given. The chances I had. I never had harsh words with a black teacher, but very few there were. Older white men and women were on top, with power and status in the whole white town, on the school board, running the sports programs, me present in their white world. I pleased them when I was funny and good and talented and smiling, but they hated loudness in any sense of the word. I felt their gazes on me daily as I measured my skirts to my fingertips. If they had a ruler, they'd have used it. No respite, religiously, in front of boys I liked and girls I respected, stopping me in the hallway in front of passers-by. To shame me, I guess. I placated, eventually. Wore dozens of camisoles beneath my button-up tops on very sweaty days, slung on jeans and attempted to cover the holes and was still denied and caught for something and held up as an example, even as I went shrinking violet on the inside. It felt very punitive to me. The teachers didn't care about how I did in school, but they cared about my looks, turning colors from embarrassment. I am but a body, and now everybody's looking. They send me to detention or to the office to mourn my shame and call my mother and inconvenience her and her poor time. She never cried or fretted as loud as the teachers did. She somehow expected their resistance. But they do not respect my existence, and I have to do this for her too, my mother. In my mind's eye, I can see a class laughing at me in unison or snickering or staring in silence. It is kindergarten. It is 7th grade. It is 8th grade. It is high school. It is the rest of my life in white spaces. Some do not approve of me, and I know they never will. I see them, even now, heads shaking, ears closing. Sometimes back in the day, I would push it too far, just for revenge. I was an angry kid, I guess, a present mind, very calculated. I was always measured and compared, but I always came up too short, too wrong, unnatural, or unacceptable. And I followed every other rule, but it was never enough. They sexualize us so young, damn it. It could happen by refusing to tell us about our bodies and then policing them in every other way and making us feel shame for wanting any different. They sexualize us with outright action too, don't they? Thank God for the good mothers, but still. The weirdness begins to happen as we're still developing, like a scary movie out of context, the nightmare of puberty. Your chest is coming in, everything hurts, everything is a growing pain. People start to stare or deliberately look away. Everything is different, but somehow not. These older men, these white men, in my school, in my refuge. They would say it to my face in subtle ways or loudly behind my back. They advised me to cover up. I am humiliated, but I cannot let it show. I am confused because they had smiled at me earlier this morning, making small talk, and now they can't look me in the eye. They sent their lackey to do it. In the middle of a buzzing lunchroom, at a crowded table of girls, my friends, these men sent their lackey, a lone wolf, the one woman teacher, over to me as we finished our meal. Not a word to me all morning, those men. Then sent a woman I trusted, my choir teacher, over with a safety pin. She fixes me up outside the entryway. She explains the situation. My shirt is cut too low. I am 13 years old. This is what I learned of womanhood. I knew her for several years after. I don't like to think about our interactions much anymore. It's the reason why I dread to show any cleavage to this day. I know I am always distracting someone. I am distracting to others. My very body is a spectacle. Who all is watching? I am disgusting. I want my pride to come from dignity, but it comes from a place of shame. I confuse modesty with an ambush all the time. That one did not have a very happy ending at all because it's still ongoing, right? It's an ongoing struggle that girls and children go through. And I think feeling policed for our bodies and feeling, the male gaze or just feeling outside eyes on you is can be very troubling. So make sure to use your coping skills, y'all. To use your deep breaths. To something I like to do that someone taught me is to draw a square on your hand and to breathe in with each line. So it's like in, out, in, out. So just ways to fight off anxiety, panic attacks if they're coming on, ways to center yourself. So I find that helps. So let's end it on a little bit happier with breathing. Let's do a little Ariana Grande since I just talked about breathing. I don't be knowing these keys, y'all. Some days, yeah, okay, sure. Some days things just take way too much of my energy. I look up and the whole world's spinning. You take my breath away. I could so overcomplicate. People tell me to medicate. Feel my brain running, switching keys, love falling. How do I know if it's all fabricated? Oh. Time goes by, but I can't control my mind. Don't know what else to try, but you tell me every time. Just keep breathing and breathing and breathing and breathing. All you gotta do, keep on breathing. And it's true. So keep breathing and I will see you next time. Okay, bye.